Hi, welcome to CNY Woman Knits and Crochets. I'm Mindy, your hostess, otherwise known as Knitter CNY on Ravelry and Instagram. I live in the Syracuse, New York area. That's why I have CNY, Central New York, in my name. I am going to do a WIP today, a work in progress. So grab your project, grab something to drink, something to eat, and sit back and I'll be your crochet partner for a little while. I'm going to crochet. You can knit, you can crochet, you can do whatever you want. You can turn me on in the background if you want just some background noise. I'm going to work with this yarn today, Bernat Baby Blanket. The colorway is called Blue Dreams. I did a live with this yesterday, but I'll show it again in case you missed the live. It is a modern granny blanket. So in a modern granny, the granny clusters line up on top of each other. What you wind up doing is a row of granny cluster, then you do a row of single crochets with chains, and then the next round you go around and you do your granny clusters on these chain spaces. So that's how you get them to line up. So I'm going to work on this a while. I'm working with a Prim 10mm hook. It's a size N. So that's from a larger set that I have. I like the Prim hooks a lot. They help with my hands not to ache and help with elbow and wrist not to get tendonitis. So it's a good hook. They're pretty reasonable. I think the larger set is about $21 and the smaller set, the smaller sizes, is about $28 or $29. So they're not bad. And you get 5 hooks in each set. You don't get a 6.5mm, instead you get a 7mm because they're based off of European sizing. So if you want a 10.5 hook, I recommend the Boy ergonomic hooks, BOYE, and they're very good. I like them a lot, and I use the 10.5 for my corner to corner with bulky weight yarn, like the Premier Puzzle that is up here that you can't see, right up there. Anyways, you get the idea. And I thought we would sit for a while and just chill out. I didn't feel like doing a live today. Somebody else was doing a live and I didn't want to interfere with their turf. So I decided to do a WIP session instead. So, because I need to get this done. This blanket is going to take 3 skeins. I think it's called From the Middle or In the Middle. I can't remember what the name of it is. If you look back to my last podcast that I recorded Sunday, there's a link to it in there. I may try and add that link into this session as well, into this description. And it's a really easy pattern. It's a free pattern from the Crochet Crowd / Yarnspirations, I think. I think it's from the Crochet Crowd, actually. And there's a tutorial, I believe, as well. Don't quote. Yeah, I think there is a tutorial as well. So you can check that out at your leisure. But obviously this is going to go faster for a project. And then the next one, the next blanket I'm planning on doing uses 4 skeins, and I think it's called a half double herringbone stitch, which I have never done before, but there is a video tutorial out there that shows you how to do it, tells you how many to chain with blanket yarn, and it only takes 4 skeins. So I thought that'd be the perfect project because I have a lot of 4 skein things and I need a new blanket to do. So I may work on that later tonight and start that. I don't know what color I'm going to use. I've got to open up a bin and take 4 of them out and see what one I get. And today it's snowing outside. It's been snowing all day. We had about a week and a half to 2 weeks where we had no snow, and it was starting to look like spring. The buds were coming out in the trees, the flowers were coming up, and then we get hit with a snowstorm. Be warned, if you have motion sickness, I'm turning the camera so you can see out back. You can see there is snow out back in the backyard. Voila. One, two, three. And not too much exciting going on. I am just relaxing tonight. The Yankees lost, so I'm not going to watch that game. There's no point in me watching a shutout game. It was this afternoon because they were worried about the cold temperatures in Detroit where they are, and tomorrow's game is at like 110 as well. I have a feeling they're going to get beaten again, so we'll see if I watch that game on Prime, on replay or not. We'll see. But as you can tell, I'm a Yankees fan. So I'm getting natural light, and then I put on an overhead light because I think it helps with seeing me and seeing the project. And my other projects I have going are a granny square blanket out of Mandala Ombre in the happy colorway. I'm on the second of 3 skeins, and I don't think it's going to take all 3 skeins. I think it's going to take a partial of the 3rd skein, but that's with like a size I hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter hook, because it's worsted weight yarn, and I'm using the hook recommended on the label. And that's kind of an ongoing project. I kind of grabbed it to take with me to my bariatric appointment the other day, and they actually took me in early. So I wound up being with a nurse for a while, and then she was like, well, actually the doctor's going to be closer to your appointment time that you were supposed to be scheduled with her, so I'm leaving you in the exam room. I was sitting in a chair, not a big deal, not on the exam table or anything like that. So I was able to crochet while I was waiting, and just a little bit. I mean, maybe 15 minutes or something like that. But, 15 minutes is 15 minutes if you are waiting someplace and you don't want to sit and stare at your phone, and they don't like you using your phone back in the exam rooms anyways, because, you could overhear something from the hall or whatever. People are walking around back there, and you don't want to invade another patient's privacy, by being on your phone or something like that. So most doctors' offices now say, do not use your phone in the exam room at all. Plus, it's kind of unprofessional if you have a doctor walk in on you and you're like, oh, I gotta finish this email, or I gotta finish this text. It's not polite. So anyways, enough about doctor's offices. I haven't bought any yarn, which is good. I'm probably not going to buy any for a while. I have lots of totes full of yarn. You will be seeing lots of blanket yarn because I have lots of blanket yarn for my blankets that I make for Project Linus. And I have a lot of different colors. I know I have at least 48 skeins because I have two 30-gallon containers that have 24 a piece in them, so that makes 48 skeins. I know I have yarn in my kitchen in a garbage bag from clean garbage bag, obviously, from Joann's that I want to use up. I have several other smaller 18-gallon totes with blanket yarn in them as well. So I've got a lot of blanket yarn to get through. So you will be seeing lots and lots of blanket yarn. Of course, as it gets warmer in the summer, I'll probably switch to work with just bulky or worsted weight. Because who wants a big heavy blanket in the summertime? Nobody. So. And who wants to work with blanket yarn in the summertime? Not a lot of people. I mean, I will, because I'll probably just turn on the air conditioning and deal with it that way. And a lot of times it stays cool here a lot, and it's only hot for a couple months. There was one year we had snow on Mother's Day in May. Usually it's the second weekend in May, and there was a year we had snow. It was crazy. If anybody wants to comment, please feel free. Give the podcast a thumbs up, the episode a thumbs up. That helps people find it. If you like the content and want to subscribe, you're more than welcome to. Subscribing is free. I'm not a big enough channel to have memberships or super chats or anything like that. And I do this mostly for fun. Although I am trying to grow my audience a little bit, so I will be trying to record or do a live to get out there in the community. And I go to a lot of lives pretty regularly. There's a few that I go to. There's one in particular where you can't really get seen because the chat goes so fast and there's so many people. I won't name it, but it's one I go to, and I do comment. But I'm not mainly going to the lives to get seen. I'm mainly going to the lives because I like the style of the lives, and I'm kind of trying to model mine sort of along that basis of having a conversation with the audience. And you know, it's trying to not repeat the same project, although I am repeating this project that I did yesterday only because I'm working on it and I want to get it done. This is looking kind of large. You know? It's looking kind of large. And my pile of yarn is looking kind of small. So that's good. So like I said, it was snowing here today. You know, kind of like whiteout conditions on the way home. Not truly whiteout, but like half-mile visibility kind of thing, which I'm used to driving in. The snow was not, you know, super thick or anything like that, so it wasn't coming down like a snow squall or anything. It's just flurries. So it's okay. And it's not anything that I have to shovel or anything like that. Hopefully it'll be gone by the morning. If it's more than 3 inches, which I doubt it will be, then my plow guy will come plow me out, which would be good. That one tree that was in the background, as you look over the concrete steps to the backyard, is actually a lilac tree that the branch was growing outward and it got nailed by the snow. So it's kind of like on the ground now. I'm not really sure what to do with it, whether to like zip tie it to the other trunk or what, because it's got blossoms on it, so I don't want to cut it off. So we'll see what it does, you know, when it starts to blossom, because it's going to be right on the ground and I don't want the blossoms to go to waste. So I may prop it up on the steps. We'll see. I'll have horseradish coming in too. That grows in the front of the house. And I have some perennials out there, the names of which I don't know. The only one that I know is a hosta, which are the ones that have the green leaves. And I have like a variegated kind of hosta that has dark green with light green lines on it. I have blueberry bushes in the back. I have a couple of apple trees in the back. I don't usually harvest the apples. I usually leave those for the deer because I don't spray my trees or anything like that, so they're not really good eating apples. They might be good for applesauce, but I don't really make applesauce. A friend of mine might, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, because with apples, you never know. If you get one day where all the blossoms get nailed because of cold weather, or they get nailed because of a rainstorm or something like that, then you're screwed. It's all very subjective. I don't do a lot of gardening, as you can tell. Horseradish is easy because that's a perennial. I don't even like horseradish. It's left over from my mother planting it years ago because it came from her parents' house. And this stuff comes back with a vengeance every year. It gets 4.5 foot high leaves. And then, you know, it just comes back every year. It likes being by the front steps. And every year I'll try and find somebody who wants a horseradish root and dig it up for them and give it to them. You can either plant the root and have your own plant after a while, or you can just take the root and grate it. The way I got told to use it, but I don't use it, the way my aunt on my dad's side of the family, one of my aunts told me, she takes it, a horseradish root, she wraps it up in saran wrap and then puts that in a Ziploc bag. When she wants to use the horseradish, and obviously she puts it in the freezer. When she wants to use it, she takes it out of the freezer, unwraps it all, and then grates what horseradish she needs. Like if you were going to put it in meatloaf, for example, or cocktail sauce or something. You can just grate it as if it was fresh, and then just wrap it back all up, stick it back in the freezer, because then you don't have to process it outside. I can remember my grandfather, my mother's dad, processing the stuff in a blender when I was a kid and putting it in oil or something like that. And just the smell was horrific. I do not like the smell of horseradish. I'll eat cocktail sauce with horseradish in it, but I don't seek out horseradish. And he was in a garage that had an outlet in it. So he was doing it in there, and he it was almost like caustic because it was so powerful, and he wasn't getting any ventilation in there. So we were finally like, you got to come out of there. You know, you got to let it sit for a while and not do that. So now I finish this row of granny clusters, this round of granny clusters. And I'm going to go on to the single crochet. So with this pattern, you have to slip stitch to a corner, and then you do a slip stitch in the corner, a single chain, and then a single crochet, so you have something to hook onto when you finish the round, you know, rather than just doing a single crochet that you can't hook anything, that you can't do a slip stitch into at the end of the round, I should say. So plans for spring. Those are the plans. Watch everything bloom again, and have a lawn service so I don't have to worry about mowing the lawn. My knees are bad, so I went with a lawn service last year. He's raising his prices a little bit this year, but it's worth it because then I don't spend half a day with a push mower trying to mow my lawn. And before you say, oh, you could buy a riding lawn mower, I don't have the patience for the maintenance of a riding mower. And it would be a waste of money for me to have it and not maintain it and then not get as many years out of it as I would need to get. So I'd rather have the lawn service and just have them cut the lawn and not worry about it, because they come during a weekday when I'm not here. They just cut the lawn and it's done. Although with the snow, it's going to be a while. Because he was hoping to come the week of the 12th. And obviously if we're getting snow, that's going to stunt everything back. So we'll see. I think it's going to be too wet to mow anyways. So don't really have to worry about it for a couple weeks. The other project I have on the hook is a Caron Colorama Halo blanket that's called the Grateful Blanket by Pretty Peaceful on YouTube. She has a pattern for it on Ravelry, and I want to say her name is Susan Kennedy there, maybe. But if you go to Pretty Peaceful on YouTube and look up the Grateful Blanket, it'll link to the free pattern that she has, which is basically double crochet with a size J hook, which is a 6mm hook. Colorama Halo is a bulky 5 that, like the name says, it has a halo around it. So it's a little bit, as one would say, it's a hairy yarn, but it's really easy. It frogs very easy. Frog, if you're new, is meaning it rips out really easy if you make a mistake. And it's a really good blanket if you want to learn how to do double crochet and you don't know how to do it. It clearly shows you how to do it, and you get lots of practice with that. So I tend to pick easier patterns to work on because I like to, you know, basically watch TV while I am crocheting. I crochet my blankets rather than knit them because I think it's easier. It does take more yarn than knitting, but they're less prone to have a drop stitch or something like that. You can't really drop a stitch in crochet. You could skip a stitch, or you can do a stitch incorrectly. But basically, once you do your crochet stitch, they're hooked in by the very nature. You can't drop a stitch like you do in knitting. So that's why I crochet. It's faster too. I probably already said that. Well, I've kind of run out of things to talk about. If you want to hear anything discussed in the podcast, please leave a comment. Like I said, leave me a thumbs up if you like what you see. You're always welcome to go back and watch past videos. I'm going to put this in the playlist with other WIP sessions, so you can go back and watch those if you're so inclined. I have a yarn haul playlist, I have a learn to knit playlist, and I have a learn to crochet playlist. So you can check all of that out. There's like over 300 videos there. You can certainly find something that you'd like. And I hope you guys have a great week and go craft something because it's good for your mental health.